And while you were with the Cowboys, you played in some of the most memorable games in NFL history, obviously the Ice Bowl.
That was crazy. That was crazy. We practiced the day before, and it was like 32 degrees, and we said, boy, it's cold, 32 degrees. And so somebody said something about, well, it might get a little colder tomorrow. And we go, well, how much colder? And they go, oh, I don't know. Don't worry about it. So that morning, we're at the Holiday Inn, and it's an outdoor Holiday Inn, the old outdoor Holiday Inn where, and it was like an old fort, like an old soldier fort in a square, and inside, right in the middle, was a restaurant and the office, and so you had to go out the door into the outside and walk down the stairway, and then you walk across the little courtyard. We couldn't get out of our doors that morning in Green Bay. They're all frozen. The temperature had gone from 30 degrees to minus 20, and everybody, we started we can't get out of the door, and so they started having to go around, and they were hammering all the ice off the doors and all that to get the players out of their rooms.
Unbelievable in the conditions.
I got one story to tell you. Okay, we're in a dugouts like the baseball, and at Green Bay at their field. And they got big fire blowers blowing at each end. That was our heaters. And the fans kept pulling the plugs from the for the blowers. And so, it was cold. And so we had to take turns as players to crawl up onto the dugout, and then they'd pelt us with snowballs and stuff. And so they finally called the police down there to guard the plugs. And Willie Towers has his foot down there, and because his feet are cold and all that, and his shoe catches on fire. And so he ends up playing the last quarter with tape taped around the end of his shoe because it's all open, and because it burned, and he ended up getting frostbite. I mean, it was of course that was the right there where Jethro Pugh was down there with him, and both of them got their shoes on fire.
Recently, NFL Network did a timeline piece on the Ice Bowl.
On the Ice Bowl. That was Don Meredith's first wife's son, and so he didn't contact very many people. He did it all through his memory with his father and all that, but I wish he would have called me because I could have told him a lot of the good stories about that whole thing.
Being in the dugout, unplugging the heaters and the plugs above the dugout, that is the greatest story.
Oh, yeah, we'd take turns and you'd crawl up there and they'd pelt you. I mean, they were like throwing everything at you. And, and then finally the police had to come down there and stop the whole thing because, it wasn't right. I mean, it was dangerous. It was like, I'm not going back up there. You guys just freeze it.
That is the greatest story I've ever heard, and I cannot believe that has not been made public, that people know that. I mean, that is the greatest story.
Yeah, well, it was a true story, and that was and we were going to, at the very beginning of the game, now we're all coming down a tunnel, and in those days, the locker rooms were right across from me. I mean, we come out one side, and the Packers come out the other side. So we walk basically down the tunnel to stand there before when you go out on the field. And we're lined up, and I'm standing there, and I'm looking out there, and I see all this like fog coming up off the ground, and and all that. And somebody taps me on the shoulder, and I turn around, and it's Lombardi. And he goes, "Hey, Jerry." And I went, "Yeah." I didn't even know he knew my name. And I went, yeah, Coach." He goes, "Doesn't get this cold in Dallas, does it?" I went, no, sir, it doesn't. And he goes, "Well, this is right up our alley." And I went, "We're in trouble."
That's awesome.
We travel out there, of course, and then there goes the game, So it was cold. Wow.